God, our King of glory, we come together in your name, lifting our heads and opening doors to you. Come in and be with us during this time as we lean, work, pray, worship, and play together. Unlock our hearts to welcome one another. Knit us into one community. Fill our voices to sing your praise. Bless the youth. Bless the leaders. Bless all those who prepared this event. Bless the church that keeps us. Set the path of goodness before us on your way. Bring us to our journey's end in safety, and in all things may we do witness to your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Hello, everyone. As mentioned before, my name is Delaney, and I'd like to just go over some key points as to why we are here today. When the board got together to first talk about November weekend, we still had no idea if it would be in person or not. So we thought it was best to just reach out to the youth via Zoom, just because it's safest. And it's pretty good point. When we started brainstorming theme ideas, it seemed that self-love and taking care of ourselves during this complicated time was a reoccurring topic that came to mind. So today some touchy subjects may come up, but we are doing this so that we can all benefit from the information and dive deeper into some of the feelings that we may be experiencing as teenagers or adults. I forgot to add that in there. So I'd like to ask a question before we begin so we know what it is you all would like to gain from this experience. So if anyone would like to, please unmute and share why you are interested in being here today.
I am interested in being here today, not only because I have to, but I enjoy, and I can probably gain something, whether I can help someone or learn something, and hopefully help people.
Okay.
I'm here today because I really love this topic, and I feel like knowledge is power. It makes such a difference. So anyway, I'm glad to get to join you.
Great. Anyone else?
I came just because I wanted to learn more and help myself, and then hopefully I would be able to help some of my friends.
Yeah, that's a great thing to think about. I think a lot of us are here today probably just to help, if we become into any situations, to be able to help someone else in their own personal settings. I'll go with that one. So I think we're now on to Amelia. Yeah.
Yes, so as most of you know, we have a guest speaker today. We have Anne Zobel with us, and she is a licensed social worker. She has helped me through some really big challenges in my life, and she knows a lot about this topic and is passionate about it. So really what we want to do is create a toolbox to help you with all of these problems, because in a time when you can't be around people and you can't go to therapy and sometimes seek the help you need, it's really important to know how to help yourself as much as you can. And so those are really important skills to have, and I think Miss Anne is one of the most qualified people to help us with that. So that's what she's going to be talking about today. And so yeah, off to you, Miss Anne.
Thanks, Amelia. And so in a second, I'm going to share my screen with you, but while I can see you, because when I see my slides, I can't see your faces. I want to encourage you to get your cell phone, unless you're Delaney, because her cell phone's already in use, so that you could take pictures of any slides that are helpful for you. And if anybody needs to leave the room to get their cell phone, we can wait. The other thing is I'm going to go through it. If you have questions at the end or things that come up to you as we're going through the slides, jot a note down. It'll be easier for me to answer them at the end of the presentation, especially because I can't see you when the slides are up. And we can definitely go into more detail about anything that piqued your curiosity, or if there was something that you needed to hear more about that I didn't talk about. Let's see, what else? I think that's everything. Any questions before we start? All right, I'm going to share my screen. I want to tell you that you guys are equipped by a God who loves you to be able to weather stress. The hard thing about COVID is that the stress that has been put on you has come from so many fronts that it's been hard to be resilient. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. Oh, here's the advance. Okay, so we're living in some crazy times. I wanted to make sure that you knew, and I had already kind of talked about this with the board before, that the most ancient way to punish people is to ban them from the tribe. In fact, the worst thing you can do to a person, even worse than physical torture, is to isolate them. Even in prisons, solitary confinement is a horrible thing, but it's reserved for the very worst kind of punishment. So to keep that in mind as we're going through this, that sort of all of us have been put in solitary confinement, and that works on the brain in some predictable ways that we'll talk about. When you experience stress, there is a chemical that gets secreted in your brain called cortisol. And cortisol is intended to activate the emergency active system, or the emergency, whatever comes on the radio, that bleep in your system, to activate fight or flight. As therapists, because I am a therapist, we have a thing, many different kinds of tools for assessing stress, but the one that's on the screen is one called the Holmes Ray Life Stress Inventory. And I just wanted to show you how many stress factors are being activated by COVID. I just kind of summarized some on the screen to the right. Starting a new school, which you guys are having to do every time you drop out of in-person and go back to online, that's shifting how you're doing your daily life. A change in responsibility, because you're having to change how much you're having to manage. And you may also having to be changing how you're managing responsibility at home. Even though you haven't been expelled from school for bad behavior, you have been expelled from school. And psychologically, again, that kind of taps into the isolation kind of factor. Parents also are having a change in work, and that stresses kids. Some of your parents may also, many of your parents may have had to do the switch to online from home. Some people's parents may have lost their jobs or may be on unemployment. And I haven't even put on this list financial stresses that are present in families right now. A change in living arrangements, that is like being on top of everybody at home and you can't even have the distraction of friends or leaving the house as much. A change in religious activity because people aren't able to participate in their church communities. Change in family gatherings. Just the winter holiday season alone, when the light gets much shorter and we have much longer day, much longer darkness, that alone is a stress factor. Beginning and ending school, change in contact with friends, not to mention the stress of a worldwide pandemic. So if you added up the points from that Holmes Ray inventory that I showed you on the last screen, that would be over 260 points, which puts almost everybody in this place right now. That's significant, right? So if you have felt extremely stressed, I just want you to know you are picking up on all of those different things that are normal. So when that cortisol is being secreted in your brain, released through your system, it will affect you in different categories. Cognitively, in terms of how you think, it may affect your ability to focus or concentrate, your forgetfulness, Whether or not you are able to think positively, it'll create a more pessimistic and negative outlook. It will increase anxiety and racing thoughts and constant worry. You may not have all of those, you may not have any of those, but that's what we tend to see the higher those points go on the inventory. Behaviorally, you might see a change in your eating habits or your sleeping habits. Once people get into too much screen time in this isolated time, it can kind of make you immobilized. You may find yourself procrastinating or having trouble tracking what's the next thing I need to do. You might be developing some nervous habits. Emotionally, sorry, I couldn't get that line off the slide. Increased mood swings, irritation at small things, easily agitated, difficulty relaxing, feeling overwhelmed, lonely, unhappiness, depression, forgetfulness, some of the other things that we've talked about. And then I want to remind you, you were designed by God for a good life. You were not designed to be stuck in chronic suffering. And this is the part that I want to tell you about how emotions work. You are hardwired with emotions, and you are hardwired to heal. Hardwired to heal. Every feeling that you could possibly have was organically placed in you at birth, except for two. And the two that were not placed in you at birth are shame and guilt. And these cause problems when it comes to resolving the feelings that you have. And I'll show you what that does in a minute. Can you see my little arrow when I push it on my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so
Yep.
this line here we call homeostasis. Okay, there's homeostasis down here. I did the best I could to keep a straight line. I know, don't quit my day job. And at the red X is when you have an event, okay? Now, right now, the event is huge because it has lots of different factors to it. But I want to take a simple event, like a kid falling off their skateboard when they're 5 years old or something. They go from 0 to 55 in 3 seconds. And then if they're allowed to express what they're feeling and work it out down that like ladder, kind of jagged stair step, excuse me, they will come back to homeostasis. And this is for any issue that could happen in life: a lost job, the loss of a pet or a loved one, a friend turning on you, and now you have to let go of them. Any event that could happen in life, you are hardwired to be able to feel it, process it, and get back to homeostasis, even if this process takes a while. It's hard because there are many different factors right now that probably have their own pattern of this right now: school, friends, sports, college, whatever, applications, all that kind of stuff. The trick is letting yourself feel what you feel. And this is a better drawing than my little jaggedy drawing in the picture before. So I might start by feeling angry. I'm so mad about COVID. And then I might feel irritated, and then I might feel sad, and then I might feel frustrated. But ultimately, at the end of that, I will get back to homeostasis unless I shame and guilt myself. If I shame and guilt myself, what happens at the top of that peak that I drew is that you will spiral. I feel, but I shouldn't feel. I feel, but I shouldn't feel. And you won't be able to access the healing network. Does that make sense? The trick is to let yourself feel what you feel. And now I want to talk about chronic depression. And you could say, well, I'm feeling what I feel and I'm not feeling any better. If the chemicals in the brain have been too bathed in cortisol for too long, that pattern I just showed you stops working. And I'm going to show you why in a minute. If you notice that you are having thoughts of suicide, I know that may sound like, oh, that's about you, but it's really not. It's about the chemicals in your brain. What that tells us is what is happening in your brain. Thoughts about self-harm or I just wish my life was over are really a heart attack of the brain. It says nothing about a person as a person. It says something is wrong with their brain chemistry and that they've been under distress for too long. Now, people can have brain chemistry issues two different ways. They can have brain chemistry issues genetically, which mean they're going to have some compromised issue with how their brain processes the chemistry that promotes feelings. So that's part A. Part B is environmental. Anybody can become depressed. If you have a genetic proclivity for it, the chances of you feeling depressed are going to go up. Now I want to show you what happens in the brain when people feel depressed, but for a second I need to give you an image. Can you guys see me in the little box?
Yeah, we can see you talking in the corner.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to show you a thing with my hand. So the cells in our brain that have to do with feelings are neurons, and neurons look like, there you go, neurons look like jellyfish with tendrils. Okay, and they connect. So it almost looks like the Milky Way in your brain of all of these nerves. I mean, not nerves, all of these neuron cells that are the cells that produce, that process our feelings. They don't touch. Wait a minute, there we go. They don't touch. There's a gap between them, which you see on this slide right here. See the gap? But each little jellyfish tendril of the cell of the neuron has an ending like that. And in that space where they don't touch, there is a chemical called serotonin. And if you have been depressed too long, the serotonin starts to act like a Pac-Man. Can you see? Wait, there we go. A Pac-Man. Wait, there. No, camera. There we go. I can't do it anyway. A Pac-Man that comes up out of the crevasse and it gobbles up the thoughts, the happy thoughts. Does that make sense? So your happy thoughts cannot make it across those synapses because the serotonin is eating them up. Is that someone's fault? Could someone make their brain do that if they tried just through deep meditation? No, you couldn't make that. You can't make that stuff up. It's involuntary. It is an urban myth that if you ask someone if they are thinking about killing themselves, that it will cause them to do it. It's just not true. And if people are having thoughts about self-harm, which you can start to hear in how they talk, I just don't feel like there's anything to live for anymore. I really don't see anything for me in the future. You can start to hear the sound when those chemicals have gotten out of whack in the brain. If I asked you if you were a purple people eater, would that make you become a purple people eater? Could I even talk you into it? Could I say, oh, yes, you are. You are a purple people eater. And from now on, that's how you will see yourself. No, you can't plant this thought in somebody. If you ask somebody if they're feeling suicidal and they're not, they're going to say, no. Why would you say that? If they are feeling suicidal, it will feel comforting to feel like somebody sees and gets what's happening with them. And that you now know you could say to somebody or yourself, dude, this is like a heart attack of the brain. You didn't do this. This is a chemical thing. But this is what I want to say, going back to where I said, for most things, doing that feel the feeling will make things get better. If you have depression that's been going on for a long time, just feeling the feeling won't make it get better. It's a chemical problem. The chemicals have gotten dysregulated, and it's a chemical solution that will have to help with the re-regulation. That doesn't mean there aren't things you can do if you have momentary depression. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I do like to tell all people, but especially people who are in their teens, that it is an important thing to have a backup plan about suicidal thinking, because it can happen. And because brains are in flux between the age of 13 and 23, you are much more susceptible to having a disruption in your brain chemistry. Because of what happens with chemical surges in the brain, and it's reforming. It's like another first year of life when a baby's brain takes a baby from being totally helpless to being able to feed itself, walk, have language. There's another surge like that in adolescence that happens that makes you more vulnerable. There's an app that I encourage people to put on their phone that's called My3. And I missed a slide, I think, in there that said, during a fire is a terrible time to make a fire escape plan. It's really a good idea to make a fire escape plan when there's no fire at all. And so I would encourage all of you to make a suicidal thought plan. And this app you put on your phone, it kind of walks you through it. You try to identify 3 people that are safe people that you could reach out to you if you were having a hard time. And maybe you do that for each other. And then, you even talk about, what would you want me to do if I reached out to you because I was having a hard time? Another app that I encourage people to put on their phone, and it's a free app, is called the Calm app. If you are not in severe depression, but having a depressive moment, being bathed in nature is one of the most powerful ways to restore your brain. And so the Calm app has scenes of many different kinds of nature: snow falling in a forest, a rainstorm, a mountain waterfall, ocean surf. Just listening and watching the patterning and the sound of the nature scene for 3 minutes after you felt either really sad, depressed, or anxious can help regulate your chemistry. And you see that in babies. A baby could be really fussy and you take them outside and it calms them. Or you put them in a warm bath and they're in water and it calms them. It's the same thing. The church where I belong, we created a virtual chapel. I couldn't figure out how to get it so that I can do it while I'm showing it to you, but I put our website up there. And then when you go on the website, you have to go into the search bar and search spirituality room. And then that takes you to this little virtual chapel. And there are little things you can go around and click on. One is need to give something to God. And I don't remember if that's, anyway, that may be a looping nature scene. Need a nature reboot is up here. And it's a video of time-lapse photography of walking the whole Appalachian Trail from start to finish. Need words of wisdom. I think that's a daily Bible app. It clicks to a little reading, something like that. Anyway, need a fresh start. I think it's a sunset in Tibet, watching it come over the mountains. Anyway, this is a little place you could go if you need a virtual sanctuary. Between the frontal cortex, where we do our highest thinking, and our amygdala, which is our fight or flight brain, the reptilian primitive brain, there's a nerve bundle. And one of the few things that has been found to keep that bundle open when people are under intense stress is spirituality. That's why the 12-step programs with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, all of those have been so effective, because they help activate that nerve bundle. I want to give you now one of my little things that I give folks who have panic disorders or anxiety issues. And that is when you have a peak moment of anxiety distress, there's a technique you can do called 10 things that kind of talks your chemistry system off the cliff. You start at the beginning by rating your anxiety. And this is important because it will help you know if any of the techniques you're going to do in these next steps helped bring your anxiety down. And then that's a sense of empowerment. So the first thing you do is rate your anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10. The next thing you do is breathe 3 seconds in, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. You hold it for a count of 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. You release it to a count of 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and you do it 3 times. So it's everything on the 3. This breathing pattern will restore your sympathetic nervous system to a relaxed position respiration. And so that's back-ending relaxation into your system if you felt anxious. The next thing I encourage you to do is make a list of 5 things you're grateful for, and try to be expansive. You can have your basics that you always come back to, but try to, branch out a little bit. The next thing I would suggest is watching the Calm app, which you would already have on your phone because you're going to do that after today, and just watch one of those scenes for 3 minutes. The next thing I would encourage folks to do is to remind you that you only have to do what you have to do this one day. You don't have to have your whole life figured out. If a relationship goes south, if you get a bad grade, if a college you wanted doesn't let you in, you just have to do today. You just don't have to do the rest. The next one is you don't have to do anything perfectly. Your best is good enough. Then do 7 jumping jacks. Or something that's physical exercise and get you out of your stuck head. Name 5 people who love you, say the serenity prayer, and then rate your anxiety again. And you can repeat that as many times as you need to. So things to have in your toolbox: the Calm app, the anxiety management 10 things list. Another thing I add is reduce passive social media use. There have been a lot of studies about what is happening with people when they are scrolling through other people's feed on Facebook or Instagram. And in that watching of other people's lives, self-esteem and happiness goes down. Even news, just mindlessly scanning for news. So knowing if it's not like Snapchat where you're engaged with friends, only if it's like nice Snapchat. If people are trolling you or being mean on Snapchat, of course, that's not good. Block them. But anyway, you might want to have a happiness playlist on your Pandora, whatever, that you've done at a time when you're feeling good, that you leave there like a little secret treasure box for yourself for a hard day. And then you try it out on a hard day. With having babies naturally, they tell you to have, this list of focal points and stuff like that. And then you get in there to have the baby and they're like, none of that works. It was all wrong. It was like, that is not good. So you want to test it on a day when you're having a hard time. Text a buddy, and you might have a buddy in this group where you guys buddy up, and maybe you change that out throughout the year. Have a Jesus journal. I get those black journals at the dollar store, the little marbledy ones. And I put A, that's me. And I tell Jesus what is just bugging me or hurting me or whatever. And then J, I put his response. And I do that as long as I need to. And it is amazing how much you can feel the presence of Jesus when you do it in this way. You'll just feel what he's saying to you. Now, if he's being really mean to you and being a bully to you, that's probably not Jesus. Unless he's joking you. Now that totally could be Jesus. Physical exercise, even if it's just going for a walk around the block. If you're feeling like crap, get out of your house and go for a walk around the block. You will feel better when you get back. And then the My3 app. I do wonder how the diocese could support you. having diocesan texting pen pals, having a weekly youth virtual prayer like Compline or something, and you guys take turns leading it. Having a monthly Netflix party app where you guys watch the same movie and have the text chat app to talk about the movie. Have a virtual prayer board on Instagram to support each other. You are hardwired to heal. And when you're having trouble healing, you're hardwired to speak up and ask for help. And I hope that today's presentation has given you some tools to know how to do that. So that's it.
So we're going to go into some breakout rooms that a few people are going to facilitate, and we're going to have some questions and stuff like that. So we're going to get those breakout rooms going.
All right, Madeline, do you want to get us started? Coming back together?
Yes. Okay. So, can I just start off what I have that makes me come? Okay. Well, right next to me, I have this bunny, and this has been a part of me since I was born. So I've had this actually on the third day of my life. She came into my life. So she's been there since the beginning of all my life and like the hard parts, like surgeries. It's just a comforting thing to be, and I still sleep with it. But yeah, that's what brings me comfort. If anyone would like to share theirs, they're more than welcome to.
Is it okay if I go first? Because my item is trying to escape right now. But this is Wallace. He's my puppy. He's a Labradoodle. And he's like my best friend. And I can tell him anything because he won't tell anybody else. Oh, he's trying to go play with his sister. So he needs
What's
to go.
his name again?
His name is Wallace. His sister's name is Winnie. We have Winnie and Wallace.
Winnie and Wallace.
Okay, he's got to go find his sister.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Do you wanna, or
Whoever, it's up to anyone. Whoever wants to.
okay. So this is just it's a STEM toy basically. I play with the clasp of it a lot, and this part you can chew on, and I got one because I found myself like destroying my headphone cords. But it's really helpful for ADHD and OCD, and it's just like it's a fidget basically, but in the spectrum community it's called stimming, and you can get them from a website, and I don't remember the exact name, but it's just, if you look up STEM toys for ADHD and autism by people with autism, then you can find the website. And it's something to do while I'm listening to other things, so I don't feel like I want to run 4 laps around my entire neighborhood.
My dog's name is Shelby. I got her when I was in 3rd grade, so she's been through a lot. But the other 2 things is there's 2 of them, but they're these pink blankets I've had since I was like pretty much born. And then when my grandfather was like my best friend, so when he passed away, I had a really hard time. So this is a pillow that's made from his shirts. So it's one of his like white shirts he always wore and one of his flannels. So that's something that has really helped me. And then my grandmother's house still smells like him, of course. Sometimes I'll just take it there and leave it for a little bit, so get the smell back. But so that's something that I've found is really helpful to me over the years.
I guess I'll go after her. So I actually, because we're sisters, so I had mine. That was the first thing I thought of. So he had like 2 coats that he always wore, so we both got one. And then this one is, I had to grab it from my closet quickly, but it's a little blanket that Lauren got me for Christmas one year when I was in the she thought I wasn't coming home before Christmas when I was in the hospital. So I got it early, but I was like obsessed with like all things music. So it's like a pop star blanket. But now I just keep it in my closet because I want to save it for like if I ever have kids, and it's like falling apart. But that was something like if I'm like really sad or something, I'll like bring this thing out because it's like super.
Poor Leslie, she has to deal with me. One of the other things that really makes me happy is house plants. I have one next to me. I have 31 plants in my bedroom. I'm now on a ban. I'm not allowed any more.
I bet the oxygen is crisp.
Right.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm not allowed to buy anymore, but I have friends that have plants, so we just kind of trade plants around. So that was it.
And I'm not allowed to drive her to buy more any. Like I can't.
No, I've tried.
So.
Anybody else?
So this is something that brings me comfort. What a lot.
Hi.
This is my youngest, Nora.
She's so cute.
Thank you. She's got her downstairs now.
That's awesome. Anyone else?
Mine is a giraffe blanket that I've had for a long time. I don't sleep with it anymore, but it still brings me joy.
What's that?
Mine is also a blanket. I have a quilt that my mom made, and there's like moose on it and stuff. Somewhere it says Megan's Moose Lodge on it. But it's like one of those compression blankets almost. It's like super heavy, so it feels like you're like cuddling somebody with it. So
Thank you. I love weighted blankets.
yeah, they're so great.
Pounds. I have one that I use, and they're really helpful. One of my friends had one. She's like, I think I like it. It's like an eternal bug.
Mine is the rock that says simplify, and I can rub it.
Oh, I love those things.
I have one of those. And then some people are like really sensory driven, like with smells. So I have one of these bracelets. It's pumice stone. So you can put like oils on it and it kind of soaks up the smells. So I put like lavender and stuff. But if you can find them online, but if anyone ever is like someone that like smells help calm them, these are the way to go because they're pretty like discreet. So if you just go like this, you can be in class and like smell it and no one's like, what is she doing? If you're like, so.
She won't come over here, but another one of my comfort objects is sitting on my bed. She likes popcorn, so that's what she's up here for.
And did someone give you the rock, or did you make it yourself?
I made it myself. I have bowls of rocks all over my house, and so I give rocks. Anytime I go someplace, I pick up a rock, and then if I need a symbol word, I write it in Sharpie on the rock.
I'll go next. So the thing I couldn't pick up and bring across my house, was my bed. Whenever I need like to chill out and comfort, I just go to my bed. I don't know if
I was hoping it was going to be a fridge, Jackson.
Yes, it's my mini fridge, as you can see right there. My mini fridge and my microwave bring me great comfort in life.
Dude, that's what
I just like coddle my microwave when I'm sad.
I love food.
True.
Oops, dropped some.
Okay, I will go. Okay, can't judge me for this because it's kind of very strange. Okay, so my brother for my 14th birthday got me it's like a plush pillow doll, I think is how I can describe it only as. So it's my favorite Baseball star Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs and from
I love Chris Bryant.
Chicago. So when I had it, I was going to get surgery the following year. So he was there for me to help me recover any. So he helped me with my arm because I could like lean up against him, and he's. I still go with him. Not gonna lie. I still go with him.
I'll go next. I have my guitar. I play it a lot when I need to calm down. And this particular one is very special to me because this is like the first actual like real guitar I ever got. So, and yeah.
That's a cool guitar.
Thanks.
Can you, if we're allowed to, can you play us a riff?
Electric or acoustic?
I say we do acoustic for the sake of the audio.
Zoom.
For the sake of time.
For the sake of Zoom.
I don't know where a pick is, so I don't know if this can actually be heard, but can you hear that?
Yes.
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 It's quiet, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was not actually prepared to play it, so.
Fine. Sounds great, man.
Sorry, I put you on the spot, man.
I have my item. I don't know how you would follow that up, but I have a basketball because if I'm stressed or I'm tired, I can just go outside and play basketball. Because if you're playing basketball, you really just have one goal, is to put the ball through the rim. So you can really just focus and ignore what else you have going on.
See, I love how you said when you're tired. Like for me, like when you're tired, you do physical.
Mentally tired, not physically.
I was about to say,
When I'm feeling just really tired, I just start working out. I start pumping those.
To each their own.
Hey, well, I think I'm the last person. So, whenever I go camping, I have my Asian pillow with me. And I sleep with it every single time I go out camping. So, I don't have to sleep on sticks. I don't have to sleep on rocks. I can sleep with my Asian pillow. And this Asian pillow is my friend. And sometimes when I come back, he smells like a whole bunch of smoke. And I don't mind that.
That's the best part of camping, though.
does it have a name?
Love when my coat smells like smoke.
We can name it right now. If you... I don't have a name. I just
Ian
call it my
Jr.
Asian.
It looks like a David.
Ian Jr.
A David or a Danny? Like
I said David.
Camping name.
Ian Jr. I'm like an Ian Jr.
Ian Jr.'s cute.
Such a silly
Okay.
name. I like it.
Alright then. Ian Jr. is my best friend during campouts. And he brings all the smells back of the woods and fire and smoke and really disgusting sweat that I make when I go camping.
You know, it's part of the fun.
It's all part of it. And he comes back with me and then I have to clean him.
It's the experience that matters.
It's always the experience.
Can I get a cup of coffee? Yeah. How are you? Thank you. Psalm 23, David says, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." The valley. It is a depression or an extended canyon that seems to go in one direction. It seems like it would go on forever. You see, we all seem to go in these valleys in our life. We may be entering a valley, we may be in the middle of the valley, or we're about to leave the valley. And the valley, it comes in all different shapes and forms. It can be the loss of a friendship, the metaphorical death of a dream or a missed opportunity. It can even be the literal death of someone that we love. Basically, it is something that ceases to exist in our lives as we now know it. Ecclesiastes says that there is a time for everything. There is a time to laugh, and there's a time to cry. It's that mourning season. It is that season of pain. Everyone hurts at some point. We all feel the pain of experiencing the valley of the shadow of death. When we are in the midst of pain, it feels like it goes on forever. There's no relief in sight. I'm not talking about having a bad day or even a big inconvenience. I'm talking about those seasons when the pain hurts in our bones, in our gut, into the very core of who we are. So where do we go when we mourn? Where do we go with those thoughts of pain and those wounds? Jesus said, for those that are mourning, do just that, mourn. But he also gave a promise that there will be comfort. So for those people that are in the valley with no end in sight, they must be comforted. And we want to help. We want to be there for people. But in reality, there are really no words to say for someone who is sitting in their mourning booth. We try to tell jokes. We think that laughter should lighten their mood. It doesn't always seem to work. If laughter is the best medicine, why does it seem to sting when we're in the valley? And others try to offer perspective. We really don't know what to say, so we try to offer some counsel. We'll say stuff like, all things work together for good. It's true, but the timing may be a little off. Sometimes we find ourselves trying to comfort someone we really love. We say it's time to move on, to rise above it, to get over it, that there's a life still to live. But if we were to really look at them, we'd see their pain. For those of us who can't see the pain, we leave, we exit. We cannot sit in the mourning booth any longer. We cannot stay in the valley. Everyone must take their turn in the mourning booth. However, they shouldn't have to do it alone. Paul calls out the cry for the followers of Jesus. Mourn with those who mourn. Carry one another's burdens. We must get in close proximity of the person in pain. Never underestimate the power of your presence. When a person is seated in their mourning booth, there is something eternal and gently and quietly taking a seat next to the wounded. St. Francis said, share Jesus with others, and if you have to, use words. You see, you don't have to use words at all. It can make all the difference in the world when someone is willing to sit and share in the pain, the sorrow, and the hurt. It is a holy response.
Okay, so that was the video, and now is my little spiel. This video feels especially relevant right now because the entire world seems to be in a valley with all of the events that have happened as well as the virus. We're all in our individual valleys as well from various things. Maybe we're worried about graduating high school and leaving home. Maybe we have difficult family situations that have been exacerbated by being in the house with our families for 6 months. All in all, it feels very dark in general and lonely, and now that the seasons are turning, it feels literally cold as well. The video says at the end that though we all experience different valleys, we have all experienced one, and so we are able to comfort each other because of it. Some valleys are more difficult than others though, like situations that are ongoing instead of an event that has already happened, or something that there isn't any sort of solution to, not even a mediocre one like mental illness. Those tend to be more difficult to navigate, and the best way to comfort those that are experiencing them is to just be there for them, to let them know that it doesn't matter what they need because you'll be that for them whenever they need it. Often the best balm is simply having someone to cry to and to share your woes with, even if that person doesn't really understand them, because the value of the sentiment of listening is enough.
O Lord, let me hear you. My soul is weary. Worry, fear, and doubt surround me on every side. Yet your sweet mercy cannot be held back from those that cry out to you. Hear my cry. Let me trust in your mercy. Show me how. Free me. Free me from anxiety and stress, that I may find rest in your loving arms. Amen.
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 So I just wanted to say thank you everybody for joining us today. I know that we've gone over some kind of heavy topics, and so I did want to provide the number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline if you need it. But then also reach out to us. We're always here. I think reaching out to friends is a great place to start too. We'll be giving out the list of all of the ideas that Anne had, because I think that it was an extensive list of things that we can be doing at home just to kind of stay positive. So again, thank you guys all for coming today, and we hope to see you soon. Hopefully next semester we'll have some more programming going on. So thank you guys.